Entrepreneurs Hub, giving you a deep and unique insights into agribusiness, services, ICT, and innovation, industrialization, and so much more. Entrepreneurs Hub, growing your small, medium, and large business entity. With yours truly, Sandra Kahunde, right here on UBC, Inspiring Uganda.
This opportunity to congratulate the people of Uganda when they are celebrating the 37th anniversary of the liberation of the country by the National Resistance Army and National Resistance Movement. The question is, what has NRM done? The NRM has achieved a lot. I'll just highlight a few. NRM has secured the country, and the people of Uganda now live in peace and security. NRM has united the country, and NRM has transformed Uganda from being a pariah state to a country that all of us are proud of. That transformation of Uganda from a pariah state to a country where all of us are very proud of it is an important thing, important achievement. And I would like to ask all Ugandans, as we celebrate the victory of NRM and NRA, to make sure that they stay the course. Uganda is on the right course. NRM has put it on the right course. Let all Ugandans embrace this course, defend it, so that the days of the past do not recur. We just learn about them, hear about them, but we look forward and ensure that the transformation process continues. In concrete terms, if you look at different departments of government, you'll be able to see what has been achieved. For example, I'll start with the social services, which is part of the 10-point program. You look at education, there has been phenomenal improvement and transformation in the field of education. Universal primary education and universal secondary education have had a major impact and given an opportunity to young men and women who otherwise would not have been in school to do so, develop themselves, and make a contribution to their country. Apart from the two, UP and USC, the loan scheme at university has also enabled to empower people who otherwise would not have been able to get university education to do so. The other major aspect that the NRM has brought in the field of education is liberalization of education. In the past, it was essentially government working with some religious groups to manage education. But after liberalization of education, schools have reached in almost every part of the country, and schools are now competing to perform well. In the past, it used to be government schools that always emerged as the best schools in examinations. But now, they no longer have this monopoly. Even private schools, liberalized schools that belong to individuals and groups are performing very well, and even better in many cases than those of government. This competitive spirit of the private sector working along with the government to provide education is something commendable. It has not only stopped at lower levels, but look at universities. When NRM came, I think it was essentially Makerere University, and perhaps Chambog was becoming an institution of higher learning with a world of degrees. But now we have, the number is big, 40 or more universities. And most of these are private universities. So the complementarity of higher education, where there are universities by government and universities by the private sector, but all regulated by the National Council for Higher Education to ensure that quality education is being given to our youngsters is another important achievement. Of course, it is true that the focus now must be on quality. It is not enough to have students in schools and universities and also have many institutions of higher learning. There must be focus, emphasis on regulation to make sure that youngsters who go to school are actually getting value from those institutions. There is much more one can say about education, but education is the foundation of any nation, and I believe that Uganda is doing well in that respect. And Uganda, as you know, has become a center of education. Well, I shouldn't say it has become. Uganda has been for many years a center of education, and the liberalization of education has cemented this reputation, this foundation of Uganda being the center of higher education in the region. And the private sector has also benefited from this, because when they are admitting their students, they don't ask whether students are from country this, country that. They admit students, and these students, especially in higher levels, come and pay money. So it has also become an income generating program. Therefore, NRM must be saluted for expanding and liberalizing education. The president and other leaders going out of the way to invite investors, because these investors, both local and external, when they come, they start enterprises, and these enterprises will create jobs. So the more investors we have, the more jobs we will create. In addition, our education system is being geared to being practical, so that people after university do not have to depend on jobs from government or jobs by the private sector, but they can on their own embark on innovative ways of creating opportunities, of even not only employing themselves, but also employing others. So it's a process, but we will overcome. The oil well, you saw in the media, I think yesterday, the Kingfisher is going to employ at least 4,000 people, and more jobs are going to be created around the oil industry. Agriculture is a key employer. We would like to see more and more of people graduating from school, universities, go and participate and practice agriculture in a modern way, not peasant agriculture. So the issue of jobs is still a challenge, but is a temporary challenge. We are going to overcome it with increased investments, with tourism expanding rapidly, and with the oil sector expanding as well. And I have already told you about Kira Motors, Uganda Airlines, and other activities which will inevitably require well-trained manpower. I would say something about health. When the movement came to power, we were losing many youngsters, many children, many infants. We had an infant mortality rate of well over 120 infants dying per 1,000 before they reached their first anniversary, because of a vigorous immunization program and improved services in general, including improved water supply for the population, clean water. A lot of diseases that were killing youngsters, infants, have been eliminated, because, as you know, many of the diseases that kill infants are either gastrointestinal, the alimentary canal is affected and they have diarrhea and vomiting, and then sometimes perish. And many of the diseases are preventable through immunization. So combination of immunization and also better water supply has made a tremendous contribution. But let me also say, Uganda was a pioneer country in the fight against HIV/AIDS. First of all, Uganda did not hide the problem. Straight away, as soon as the National Resistance Movement realized that we had a problem of HIV/AIDS, we told the people of Uganda and told the world that there is a problem. We confronted it then. The prevalence rate at that time was in the range of 18, approaching 20%, which was really very high in many of the institutions. So a vigorous program led by the president of sensitizing the population helped sensitize people to prevent and stop HIV/AIDS. As I speak now, Uganda is one of the countries that have performed well in that area. I think the prevalence rate is now in the range of 6%. Of course, 6% is itself high, and we must ensure that we lower it. Nevertheless, we should acknowledge that the movement has done well in that field. Apart from that, let's say something about infrastructure. The road network was obviously in a very bad shape. As I speak now, the road network in the country is commendable. The roads from one corner of Uganda to another, you can just drive on tarmac. From Koboko to Busio Maraba, tarmac. From Kisoro to Moroto, tarmac. Really, many corners, many boundary areas of Uganda are now connected by multiple well-tarmacked roads. You know that Uganda has also agreed with the DRC government to work together to ensure that roads in the DRC also improve and are tarmacked. This is a great thing because it will expand communication of the people, it will expand business, and it will bring together the countries now of East African community. Because as you know, DRC has recently joined the East African community and strengthened it. We started as 3 countries, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, but as I speak, we have perhaps 7 or so countries, and we are expanding. from the Indian Ocean now to the Atlantic. This is a great achievement by Africa. It's a great achievement for the people, and it is inevitably expanding intra East African community trade. And the population of the region are therefore benefiting. So this has been spearheaded by the NRM government and by our president, and it is for the benefit of all of us, Ugandans and the regional partners. Perhaps I should say that in terms of infrastructure, one of the issues that we have done well is the expressway to Entebbe. You know, people used to spend hours to reach Entebbe airport. But now with the Entebbe expressway, you take 30 minutes, you're already to the airport. This saves time, saves fuel, it expedites doing business, and therefore injects a big dose in the development process. As you know, the Jinja Expressway is more or less taking off, and the amount of hours that we have been spending to go to Jinja will be reduced to an hour or less. That again will help business in Uganda, and transit vehicles will help the whole region benefit from the improved roads. The last comment I want to make about infrastructure is the Kampala flyover, which is in the final stages of being completed. You and me have been bothered by traffic congestion in Kampala. There is no doubt that that project, coupled with the several roads in Kampala that are going to be redone, will help in decongesting Kampala and also in making sure that people can now do their business without wasting too much time on the road and in traffic jam. I should also say that government has focused on a number of scientific projects. I think you and me know that Kira Motors, which was really initiated by and innovated by our people at Makerere, has now taken root. The vehicles are now being used, and we expect huge production of vehicles that will be produced by Kira Motors. This is going to create many jobs and to ease Uganda's transport problems. And I'm happy that government has spearheaded and really pushed this project. You also must have heard recently that Uganda put a satellite in space. All of us should be very proud that Uganda is now also in space. Instead of depending on information and data about so many things, including weather and the like, from developed countries and the like, Uganda now can get this data, this information directly using our receiving station at Mpoma. And this is a major achievement for Uganda and Ugandan scientists, and it is really going to catapult Uganda to a higher and a different level. The fact that we have got Uganda Airlines back in the skies is something we should be proud of, because Ugandans with minimal inconvenience can now fly to many different centers of the world. And in fact, Uganda Airlines is trying to get connected or to fly to other centers, especially in Europe and also in Asia. The key point about the airline is that it will not only carry people, but also carry cargo and therefore promote trade. It will also make it easier for tourists to come to Uganda and those involved in business, especially now the oil business, to be able to fly to and from Uganda with ease. Perhaps I should add that a couple of days ago, Uganda launched the drilling for oil. We have been talking about this for quite some time, but the fact that drilling of wells for oil have started in the Kingfisher is a big step of confidence building and of assuring Ugandans that the oil we have been talking about is not just hearsay, but that reality has come, and indeed the oil should be expected in 2025. It's true, people will say, but you are drilling the wells, where is the oil? It takes time. We want to ensure that we have the wells dug and ready or drilled, and then oil will begin to flow and flow in a sustainable way. So, in a nutshell, Uganda has done a lot of work under the National Resistance Movement. The liberation was absolutely worth it. The liberation should be defended. Uganda is on the right course, and Ugandans should, as before, rally around the government to make sure that the government programs and government direction takes shape. Perhaps I should add that Uganda was really fragmented in many ways. But when you look at the country now, you see that the country is at long last integrated. And for this, we salute the National Resistance Army, the National Resistance Movement, and the leadership. And they alone cannot do the job without the support of you and me.
Entrepreneurs Hub, giving you a deep and unique insight into agribusiness, services, ICT and innovation, industrialization and so much more. Entrepreneurs Hub, growing your small, medium and large business entity. With yours truly, Sandra Kahunde, right here on UBC, Inspiring Uganda.